All right, so in this video, I'm going to show how to extract a drawable asset from the RDR source, and we're going to extract it so we can import it into Blender, make some modifications, and then we're going to export that drawable with collisions and restream it back into the game. So the first thing we're going to do, there's going to be 3 stages to this, at least 3 types of the files. We need our drawable. There's going to be a texture dictionary, and then we have our YTYP, which is the file that kind of defines where to find everything and actually how to load the object in. So this is kind of what we want to end up with, but we are going to start at the source. So make sure you have all the applications that I list below. The versioning is important, otherwise you might run into errors, or you might not have the things you need in order to actually get the things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open Codex Explorer Ktos version, and we are going to grab our TP. So TP009, here we are. The reason we want Ktos is so we can export these in the XML format so we can then import them into Blender. Here's the YDR. That looks great. So we're going to go ahead and export this. For YDR, new folder. And open that, save it there. And then we're going to extract these one at a time so that it also extracts the textures. It'll go ahead and grab everything that it thinks you need and puts it in the same folder. We're going to go ahead and extract this one as well. We're going to grab a door and throw a door on this. Save that. Now, there are embedded textures in these 2 files, so that's something you want to look for. The Ktos version, you cannot find them. I can show you up here at the toolbar. You do not have the texture editor here. So what we're going to do is go open the other Codex version 20, and we're going to find these as well. So TP009, and we're going to grab this. And now up here, you see we have this texture editor button. If you hit T, it'll open up the toolbar, hit texture editor, and then we have an embedded texture here. So we're going to save that, and we're going to put it in our TP009, all the other DDSs in here. And then I'm going to also check the door. Here it is. So it also has an embedded texture. We're going to save that as well. And actually, I'm going to put all of this in the same folder. I'm going to get rid of that door one because these are all the same anyway. So go ahead and come in here. We're going to delete that door folder. And you'll be able to check the textures and make sure you have everything later on. So close these out. So now we have everything we need in order to import things into Blender. So we'll go ahead and open up Blender. New that. All right, we're going to import our XMLs. We're going to find them down here. Here's our 2 XMLs. I'm just going to select both of those and import them. Now, I recommend actually doing your editing at this stage before you convert everything into a drawable and the collision, because when you edit things at this stage, it's going to be a lot easier. So the first thing we're going to do for the drawables is I'm going to get the center of this TP to actually be at the base of the TP, because when I look at it, I usually adjust down here at the base. So we're going to select this object mode. We're going to select our TP. We're going to move this and raise it up. That's pretty good. I'll say that's good. And then we're actually going to grab the door real quick, and we're going to move this. We're going to make it sure it's on the right height. We're going to move it out here to the front. Now, we're not going to be too picky with this. It's a tutorial. You can always adjust this better on your own stuff. So what we're going to do now is we made some adjustments. So we want to actually apply all those transformations. So we're gonna select everything, including here, and we're going to go to Object, Apply All Transforms. And you can see now we're zeroed out over here on the transform side, and we're centered down here at our grid. Okay, now let's let's save this file. And the reason we want to save it, well, because we want to keep it, but also if you look at the shader version, you can see that our textures didn't load. And if we save the blend file in the same folder as all our textures, then it will auto load onto the model when we open it. Go ahead, go in here. This is our texture folder. And if we unfilter, you can see we have all our DDS files in here. We're going to go ahead and just save in here, and we're going to call it DATP blanket 01. Save that. And then we're just going to reopen this here. Reopen blanket 01. And now we have our textures applied. We can see those. At this point, we are going to convert these into drawables and collisions and export them out because we're done. But I would recommend doing all your editing at this stage before you do your conversions. So let's grab our TP. I'm going to actually create two different drawables, one without the door. You don't have to hide it, but I'm just going to hide it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get rid of these. So let's go ahead and edit this really quick. We're going to grab this here, wireframe. And we're going to use lasso, grab this guy, Control L, selects the whole thing, X, and then delete the vertices. And I want to get rid of this pole here as well. It's right in front of the doorway, which seems kind of pointless. We're going to grab these vertices, Control L, but we also missed, there's some end cap objects here that aren't necessarily connected. So we're going to grab those as well and delete them. See, so now we're at what we want. So we got everything. Now we're going to export. So let's save it. And then we're going to go up here. I'll go back to object mode just so I make sure I don't edit anything while I'm doing this. We're going to grab our TP and we're going to open. We can hit this arrow or you can hit N. You're going to open the Solemns tools, Drawable tools, create drawable object. We want collisions. So you're going to select auto embed collision here. These are all fine. You got drawable and leave selected, and you're just going to create drawable. Now what it's going to do is it's going to take your thing and get it out of this. So we're going to delete the empty folder here. Here's our new drawable. You see it, hashtag DR. We're going to rename this because this is going to be our object here. So DATP blanket 01. And inside here, you'll see we have bound composite and geometry and our polymesh. This is our collision object. And if we switch over to the shaders, you can see it's this funky colored thing. Make it disappear, you can see our TP. In order to get the collision to register, you need to come up here, go to the bound geometry BVH, go to collision tools, flag presets, apply flags preset. Now it says you applied the preset, so we're good there. So now we have collision. And then we have our TP down here. So we're going to go ahead and export this without the door. So even though the door is here, we're just going to export this object. It doesn't have the door in it. So file export code walker. We're going to export this same folder here. You can export it wherever you want. It will output as DATP blanket01.ydr.xml. We're just going to check selected objects just so we export just this and not the export that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the door to our drawable object. Once that's done exporting, it can take a minute depending on how much detail there is in this. Grab our door, same thing here, grab this, and we're going to say create drawable, except we don't want collision on this. I want people to go through the door. So we're going to uncheck auto embed collision and just create the drawable. So then here we have our empty folder. That we have our drawable here. Now, if we exported this as it is, these are two different, it would export two different YDRs. So I'm going to actually take everything from this one and put it into the folders here. So you would, if you had a collision, you would put everything under bound polymesh, or you would put all of the bound polymeshes under bound geometry. Then we want all of the drawable, these triangle things, drawable models. So here we have our door. I'm going to shift and alt, and we're going to move it up to the delete the empty. So now we have our DATP hide blanket with door. We have our collision, and we have our two bubbles. Now we're going to go ahead and export. And if I had changed the collision, we would want to reapply those flags presets, but since I didn't do anything, that's fine. And selected objects. Let me make sure we got the blanket selected. Code walker. All right, so this is going to export again. And what we're going to end up with is two YTYR.XML files. These are going to be useful when we create our YTYP, so hang on to those. And then at this stage, we want to convert these YDR XMLs into YDRs. So you need to open up RPF Explorer. And a lot of these look similar, but they all do different things. And part of that's just because Codex is still in process development. We're going to open edit mode. We're going to go find our folder, CP009, and we're going to right click, import XML. And you're going to find these here, DHCP blanket and door. We're going to open those, and it will put our YDR files in the folder we have open. Here you can see we generated our two YDR files. Now these in the format they're in are actually useless to us. So what we're going to do is actually convert them to the RedM format. So we're going to say Control X, and we're going to go to our RedM installation. And we're going to, I'm going to get rid of these other ones here. We're going to paste these in, and then you're going to open the console at this location, and you're going to use this command, CitiCon.com, format, convert, formats convert, and then we're going to convert our two YDRs. It'll give you some output. Close this. These two files are the ones we want. They end in _NYA. These are the ones that were just generated. We're going to cut those, go back, and paste these in. We're not worried about the other ones we pasted in there. We're just going to rename these back to our original. Get rid of this NYA. So now we have our drawables. Now these are what we want. This is actually done. We have those drawables. Now we need our texture dictionary. So what you want to do is, let's go ahead and I'm going to grab the templates, and I have provided these for you. We're going to go ahead and paste these all back into our folder here because we're going to use them. The YTD is the texture dictionary, and this is just an empty texture dictionary. So I'm going to rename this. Get one. And then what we're going to do is we want to add all of the textures that are referenced in the drawable to our texture dictionary. So if you come into the shading tab, come down here to lower left, click here, and this list is everything that is used in the model. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through the folder, and you're going to delete anything that isn't used, and if you have any gaps in here, you're going to find any missing textures, which you should have everything unless there's embedded textures. So if you are missing something, check for embedded textures. These palettes will show up blank on the side here. So luckily for you, I went ahead and did this already, so you don't have to go through that process. So I'm just going to grab this textures. Got everything in here that I need. We're going to pop that in here. So now we're going to open up Codex. We're going to go back to our folder. We want this one. Refresh. Actually, we have textures and we have our YTD. So we're going to open up the YTD, the texture dictionary. We're going to say add textures. We're going to navigate to our textures folder that we just curated. Select everything, open. It'll add it over here on the right side. You can kind of look through it to see what's there and make sure it loaded correctly if you want. And then we're just going to save. I'm going to save this over the top of the one we had before. Okay, so now we have our texture dictionary. That is done. Now we just need to create our Y types. We have our template Y type here. I'm going to go ahead and name this one blanket01. We're going to open these up in our favorite code editor. You can use Notepad if you want. I like VS Code. Use what you will. So we're going to find our Y type. And then we are going to find our YTYP of that object. Oops, not one. YTYP blanket or there we go. Okay. Now the reason, and actually I'm going to swap. The reason we want these is we need to fill out the Y type, and we have the information in here. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to swap this out, template 01. Then we're going to swap it all out with DATP blanket 01. So that's all of this stuff here. We have our name, texture dictionary, physics dictionary. So this is in the drawable, it's embedded. This is our texture dictionary we have, then the asset name and the name itself. So we have that, that's good. Now we need the bounding sphere center, which is up here. Then we need the bounding sphere radius and the bounding box min, bounding box max. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy these over. Let's see. And then what we're going to do is these objects are very similar, and they actually have the exact same bounding boxes and bounding spheres. So we don't have to do this twice. I always recommend making sure that the YTYP matches up with your drawable. And then you can adjust the LOD. We'll increase this a little bit. There are TPs, you want to see them from far away. And save. And that Y type is finished. We have our bounding boxes, bounding spheres, and all this is named correctly. Close that one out. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to copy this Y type. And then we're going to use it to generate our door Y type. Open up the door Y type. We're going to open up our door YTYP. And take a look at this, make sure they're correct. And it looks like everything matches. Yay. Now the difference here is everything's going to be, let's see here. We want to replace DATP blanket 01 with a door. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Except we're going to use the exact same texture dictionary because they both have the same textures. You can create two if you want. There's no reason to be the exact same. So we're just going to refer back to the original one, and that should work. So that is done as well. So now we have our Y types finished. And the FX manifest, you're not going to need to do anything with this other than make sure you have the correct folder layout. This is going to give you here. Basically what it says is inside the stream folder. So you're going to have your FX manifest, and then there's going to be a stream folder, and then your Y types are going to be in there. So we're going to put all our other resources inside there. So I'm going to set that up real quick. We're going to create a folder. We're going to call it DATP blanket 01. And we're going to put our FX manifest. We're going to grab everything here. So FX manifest, our Y types, our YDRs, and our texture dictionary. So we're going to grab all that and toss it in DATP blanket 01. Actually, we're going to create a new folder called stream, and then all of this stuff goes inside stream. So just the FX manifest is out here. Now we have our resource. Let's go ahead and copy it into our server. So grab that. So in here we have server files, resources, and then I have this streaming folder. And then I have DA props, that's some other stuff I've created. And our folder DATP blanket 01. Now we have the resource in there. We need to make sure that we have it insured on the server. So you're going to come down here to wherever you're insuring your resources. It could be in server config, could be somewhere else. Always do it directly from the bat file, but most people are going to have it in here. You have Spooner up there. We're going to say ensure DA TP blanket 01. That'll make sure it loads on when the server starts. And then we are going to, yeah, so that'll start. And then the last thing we need to do, and I'm gonna close this out and make sure we open it the correct one. We're gonna grab Spooner objects file, and we want to make sure we have the RDR3 one. So in here, not gonna have this. So what you want to do is you want to create this. So DATP blanket 01, and with the door as well. So this will make it so that we can actually select those items in the Spooner list, object list to spawn in. Save that. And now I think we're ready to start up the server and see if this works. So let's do that. And once if you need to go back and make changes to your files, once you have the YTDs and the Y types all set up, really what you can do is go back to your Blender, make some changes. So you go back, open up your save file, right? Or we converted everything. And you can come in here and make your changes that you want to, and then you go, reconvert everything into collision and drawables and export what you want. And then just copy those. You do the same format conversion for the YDRs, get them all, through RPF Explorer and then through the CitiCon, and then copy them into your resource, restart your server, and see if the changes are there. They should be. So now that we're in game, what we're gonna do is open up Spooner. F objects. If you entered the objects up at the top, you should just see them up here at the top. Otherwise, you can search for them. All right, and there's our TP. And if I select this, hey, it's selected it down at the center. So it's going to point at that bounding sphere center here. So let's drop this into the ground a little bit. So we got that one. Let's see if the collision works. Okay, we have collision. Let's see if I can fit through this doorway. Yeah, just barely. Yeah, and on some of these TPs, it might actually be worth it to kind of expand that doorway a little bit. Some larger models can have trouble fitting through, especially if you have them in the ground a lot. And then our last object, we're gonna do the door. So I'll spawn this one in. There's our door. I'm gonna drop this one down on the ground. And now we have collision on the TP. And there shouldn't be collision on the door. You can kind of walk through here. All right. There it is. Yeah. Now you just got to go through all the files and find what you want to port over and bring in. You can create whatever you want. It's actually pretty simple once you get the process down. So I'm excited to see what people create.